Hi, so welcome back to Pilates at Home, and today I'd like to take you through all your strength exercises. So these are your leg pull front prep, your leg pull prep, your side bend prep, and also your push up prep. So these are all strength exercises. They will challenge your shoulder stability as well as your core stability. As always, your body's your own responsibility. So if you do have any injuries or medical concerns, ensure you've been signed off by your doctor. Work within your body's range of motion. You should feel actively challenged, but without any stress or strain. All right, so let's get you started. We'll start you off with the leg pull front prep. So this is just the preparation, right? So it prepares you for the full exercise, and this falls within your essential exercises. Okay, so let's start you off just kneeling on the mat, so on the hands and knees, and ensure you can see me clearly. So shoulders are over the wrist, knees are just underneath my hips, and my legs are together, so really pressing those inner thighs together. Think of bringing your shoulders into that nice neutral position. So let's just protract and retract the shoulders. So let's start by retracting, sliding those shoulders sliding the shoulder blades together, and then protracting. Good. Again, retracting, slide those shoulders together, and then exhale, protract the shoulders, and then find that neutral position, which is just in the middle. So the shoulders are nice and flat on that rib cage. Now let's find a neutral pelvis. So if you rock and roll the pelvis, so forwards and backwards, and then find neutral. So neutral is just somewhere in the middle. So if you put a cup of tea here, it should rest just in the lower back without spilling. Okay, the head stays in line with the shoulders, so think of lifting your head in line with the shoulders. And then we're just going to flex the ankles. So flexing the ankles, curl the toes under, and let's begin. So imagine you're zipping up a tight pair of jeans, or cling wrap around the abdominals. So you really have to engage this transverse abdominal muscle, which supports your lower back on your hip as you begin to pick up the knees. When you pick up the knees, it's just a couple of inches, so not too high. So we start with a breath in through the nose to stay there. You exhale through the mouth as if you're blowing up birthday candles. Now engage that pelvic floor, transverse abdominal. Feel that band of muscle wrap around you like a corset. Maintain a neutral spine. Now begin to pick up the knees just a couple of inches, so it's not too high. Your head stays in line with the shoulders, and we're staying there and taking a few breaths in and out. So breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth. Keep pressing those knees together, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Go deepen that pelvic floor, transverse abdominal connection, breathing in. And on the exhale, lower the knees, and let's just sit back into a shell shoulder stretch. Again, chest up and over, shoulders over the wrists, knees are underneath the hips, spine is in neutral, shoulders are in neutral, head is up. Curl those toes under. Take your breath in to stay. On the exhale, engage that pelvic floor, transverse abdominal. Feel that band of muscle wrap around you like a corset. Pick up the knees a couple of inches. And let's stay there. Take a few breaths in and out. Again, breathing in and out. Again, really engaging that transverse abdominal. Stay where you are. Keep breathing. So this is a great exercise for really strengthening the lower back as well. Let's do one more. Breathing in and exhale. Really engage that transverse abdominal. Lower the knees. Sit back into your shell shoulder stretch. Let's just do one more. So chest up and over the shoulders, shoulders over the wrists. Curl the toes under, flexing those ankles. Take your breath in to stay. Exhale, fire that pelvic floor, transverse abdominal. Pick up the knees, pressing those inner thighs together. Good. So really press the fleshy part of the inner thighs together. And deep breathing in and out. Good. Breathing in and out. Let's do two more breaths in and out. Last one, breathing in and exhale. Good. Lower the knees and sit back into your shell shoulder stretch. So from there we move into our leg pull prep. So that's your leg pull front, and your leg pull, we sit facing the other way, extending those knees. Now any tightness in the lower back or hamstrings, then you can slightly bend the knees. Flexing the ankles, so think of pushing the heels away from the sit bones, drawing the toes towards you. Your hands are behind you, and you can either place your hands flat on the mat, or you can make a fist. So if you have any wrist issues, then you may want to make a fist. so that joint stays in a nice neutral position. Good. So with your spine neutral, so be careful you're not slumped back this way. Think of widening the collarbones, really open those shoulders. And we take a breath in through the nose to stay there. And as you exhale, think of imprinting that pelvis. So you drive that tailbone between the legs. So you feel the glutes and the hamstrings begin to fire. Think of rolling that pubic bone up towards the belly button. So you're really switching on those obliques now. We'll begin to point the feet and drive that pubic bone all the way up towards the belly button. So the obliques are switching on, and it's like the pubic bone is coming up to find the belly button, really squeezing the glutes, the hamstrings, opening the shoulders. Take your breath in to stay, and on the exhale, carefully lowering the hip. So finding that neutral with the hip, flex the ankle. Again, any tightness in the lower back or hamstrings, then do slightly bend the knees. And then from that rib cage, imagine you're reaching up and over a rolling pin from the rib cage. Just flexing forward and reaching the arms forward. So the arms are by my ears. Again, so hands behind you, really pressing those inner thighs together, flexing the ankles, any tightness, then bend your knees. Take your breath in. Exhale, begin to drive that tail between the legs, pubic bone is coming up to find that belly button, really switching on the glutes, the hamstrings, also the obliques. Begin to point the feet and continue to drive that pubic bone all the way up to find that belly button. So you're looking towards that pubic bone, pressing those inner thighs together. Take your breath in to stay, and on the exhale, carefully lower the hips. Flex the ankles and reaching up and over, flexing from that rib cage as if you're reaching over a rolling pin from that breastbone, arms by the ears. Let's do one more. Hands behind you, shoulders are open. Take your breath in to stay. On the exhale, drive the tail between the legs. Good. Roll that pubic bone up towards that belly button. Begin to point the ankles, really firing the back of the legs. So firing up the posterior chain, the back of the legs, glutes and hamstrings. Good, lats are working, obliques are working. Hold it there, open the shoulders, take your breath in to stay. And on the exhale, carefully lower the hips. Finding neutral with the spine, flex the ankles. And let's just reach up and over that rolling pin from that breastbone. Arms by the ears. So this brings us to our side bend prep. So with your side bend prep, best way to get into this is start with your knees stacked, one on top of the other, and then position your hand. So your wrist is slightly forward of your shoulders, and your hand is away from your hip. It's not too far away. So just slightly away from the shoulder and slightly forward of the shoulder. So ensure you don't collapse into your shoulder with this one. You really want to think of keeping the shoulders nice and stable and using the muscles underneath the arms to really support you as you begin to pick up the hips. So gesture hand is just resting on the opposite leg. We take a breath in to stay. On the exhale, again, it's like you're zipping up a tight pair of jeans or tightening the corset. Begin to drive that tail between the legs, zipping up the jeans, really engage transverse abdominal. Use the muscles underneath the arms. Good. As you pick up the hips, you feel the muscles underneath the waist contract as if you're crushing your waistline. And then the top arm goes overhead. Think of reaching your hips up towards the ceiling. It's more of the hips reaching up towards the ceiling. As you reach that top arm overhead, you feel that lovely stretch through the top side and a contraction through the underneath. Try to keep the knees together. Watch the knees don't separate at this point. And inhale to lower the hips. Let's do that again. So it's an exhale. Exhale. Good. Pick up the hips. Zip up the jeans. Keep those knees together, really connecting the inner thighs, using the muscles underneath the underneath arm. Good. As you reach the top arm overhead, the arm is by my ears. I'm really feeling that stretch through the top side and the connection through the underneath. And inhale to lower the hip. Let's try a variation to this. So if you bring that top leg forward, so it's just turned out laterally in the hip and just in line with that bottom knee. So foot, knee and hand all in one long line. And then bring that bottom leg forward, so it's just touching that top leg, just at the heel. Open the shoulders, take your breath in to stay. On the exhale, so engage that pelvic floor, transverse abdominal. Now pick up the hip. Now this really allows you to feel that opening through the hip. Feel that stretch again. Really think of driving that tail between the legs, pubic bone forward, and really reaching the arm, top arm overhead, using the muscles underneath. Feel that nice opening through the hip. And then breathing in, carefully lower the hip. So don't just collapse onto the mat. Really think of controlling your movement as you lower the hip. Let's do the other side. So spin around, and then we do the other side. So if you stack the legs one on top of the other, your hands slightly forward over your shoulders. Good gesture, hand is just relaxed, just there, using the muscles underneath the arm. Take a breath in to stay. On the exhale, again, really zipping up, engaging that pelvic floor, transverse abdominal, driving that pelvis right up towards. Good, hip reaching up to the ceiling, top arm reaching overhead, pubic bone reaching forward, hold it there. And then breathing in to lower the hip. Again, so it's an exhale to pick up the hip. Exhale, drive that pubic bone forward. Use those muscles underneath the arms. Feel that stretch at the top side. And then inhale, carefully lower the hip. Let's do the variation. So bring that top leg forward, turn that leg out in the hip. Bottom leg comes forward to meet the top. Breathing in to stay. Exhale, picking up the hip. Drive that pubic bone forward. Really feel that opening through the front of the hip, that lovely stretch through the inner thighs, through the hip flexors. Good. Think of keeping the ribs connected. Watch we don't pop that rib cage out. And then breathing in, carefully lower the hip so we don't collapse, okay? So sitting on that mat. So we move on from there to our push-up prep. So with your push-up prep, again, these are just the preparations. So they're all your essential exercises which prepare you for the full thing, okay? So position yourself so that your knees are together once more. And then I'm just going to walk my hands slightly forward of my shoulders, so my hips are forward of my knees. I'm still in a neutral, natural arch, so I'm not going to overextend my lower back. I maintain neutral, and also my shoulders, my scapula stabilizer, so shoulder stabilizers are switched on to keep the shoulders nice and flat on the rib cage without any winging off, okay? So keep the shoulders flat on that rib cage and the head stays up. Now from there, I'm just going to cross my ankles, so my knees are just going to slightly laterally rotate or slightly turn out. Straight away that switches on my glutes. So shoulders over wrist and pelvis is neutral. Engage that transverse abdominal. So again, zipping up the J's. Feel that band of muscle wrap around you like a corset. So the breath is in through the nose for 3 counts, lowering the chest, out through the mouth for 1 count, lifting the chest. So let's go. Breathing in through the nose, lower the chest. So we're bending the elbows, 3, 2, 1. And exhale, pressing up. Again, breathing in through the nose, 3, 2, 1. And exhale, pressing up. Again, inhale, elbows go out to the side. And exhale, pressing up. We'll do 2 more. Inhale for 3, 2, 1. And exhale, pressing up. Last one, inhale, 3, 2, 1. Chest to mat. And exhale, pressing up. Let's just sit back into a lovely shoulder stretch. Sit back against the heels. So we'll do that again. Chest up and over. My hips are slightly forward of my knees. Spine stays neutral without any overextension there. Transverse abdominal muscle wrapped around you to support your lower back. Head stays up. Hands are just slightly wider than shoulder distance apart. Good. Again, really think of driving that tail between the legs. So we're breathing in for 3, 2, 1. And exhale, pressing up. Again, breathing in. Head stays in line with shoulders. And exhale, pressing up. Let's do 3 more. Inhale, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, pressing up. Really think of where those shoulders are. Watch the shoulders don't wing off. Exhale, pressing up. 2 more. Inhale, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, pressing up. Last one, breathing into the nose, 3, 2, 1. Chest to mat. And exhale, pressing right back up. Let's just sit back into that shell. Shoulder stretch. So we'll do one final one. Chest up and over. Hands slightly wider than shoulders. Hips in neutral. Good, hips forward of knees, head stays up. We're breathing in for 3, 2, 1, and exhale, pressing up. Good, again, inhale, 3, 2, 1, exhale, pressing up. Let's do 3 more, in through the nose, 3, 2, 1, exhale, pressing up. Use your chest muscles. 2 more, 3, 2, 1, exhale, pressing up. Again, breathing in. Keep that transverse abdominal switched on to support the back. Exhale, pressing up. Keep that head in line. And just carefully sit back into that shell. Shoulder stretch. Good. You can even place the hands behind you and just round the shoulders forward. That really feels nice on the shoulders, also on the wrists. Take a few breaths in and out, and in and out. So there you have it. We've come to the end of our essential repertoire. So these are all the essential exercises that we've been doing over the course of the weeks. I hope it was beneficial for you. This really does prepare you for the full exercises which we'll progress on to. So I'll see you next time, and bye bye for now.